Oh, homosexuals, it is finally good and fun. It feels amazing, in fact, to say we are back, I feel really revitalized today. Oh, man. If y'all saw yesterday, I was going through it, for sure. It was more than I would have wanted it to be. I really let a lot go to my head, and it's one of those days that everybody has where you just have a lot that you're thinking about, want to work on, want to progress through, and maybe find more progressive ways to adhere yourself to in your daily life. But I didn't have enough of an idea to feel like progressing in a positive way. I really was not there yesterday, and that's not me. I know it wasn't, and it's just I had to accept that and embrace it. You got to embrace your worst self in order to fully envelop your best, at least in my case. But no, it was a lot of fun. I mentioned that I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and I took a lot of time to really think about it. And something that I noticed as a trend in my training is that every time I feel like I have an impending injury, or I need to have more so a better recovery, to be more peaked, like legitimately peaked. Like right now, I'm physically peaked in all aspects, other than my fatigue, and the way of training I used to do, whenever I needed that bit of recovery to actually, kind of get over that fatigue in the moment, was embracing a bit more of complex workouts, and if you're into Olympic lifting, I'm sure you know what complexes are, but for those who don't, it's mainly just turning the lift into a more technical core-based lift that allows you to focus more on that technique rather than just overall strength by itself. Because since I have less time to work out and I can't do as much volume because of all the work I'm doing outside of the gym to manage my fatigue, if I'm going to work up to just one working set, I can't just keep viewing every single lift as a main lift. Even if I were doing power snatches, I would want to increase that lift's weight by whatever 5-10 pounds I could in order to make it feel like I was making actual progress. Because I'm a firm believer, and I will still commit to the idea that the weights and the numbers being put over my head are an accessory to the effort I put in. They are not the main passion, but it's definitely one of my highest goals. If I don't make it, that just means I have more room to grow, and I got to try some more stuff out to see what could happen. And the unfortunate thing was I got so ahead of myself with all the progression I was making after my knees both recovered and my body stopped having any pain. I just kept packing on the weight until the fatigue I didn't know how to manage. I think that was the biggest part, where I didn't know what that next step was meant to be. And today was a lot of fun. I ended up doing, this would typically be my pause snatch day. And so I'm still going to work with the same schedule, with the same kind of volume that I was originally wanting to do. But like, for example, this is a volume week. So today I did a pause snatch plus a snatch balance plus a snatch drop, or a drop snatch. This, it may seem a little bullshitty or a little over the top extra, but I can't really remember the last time I put in good effort behind getting my core and form and technique down. Because it's not that I have bad technique. I'm very proud of the technique I have, and I think I look very good while I lift. But there's always room for improvement. There's always things that you haven't done in a while that could actually enhance your lifting by allowing you to have that little bit of recovery while focusing on the technique rather than just trying to push a heavier number over your head, So I got to do the fun little complex, and oh boy, was I humbled. It was definitely a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. That's the entire point. That's the idea, where I can still try to push some decent weight, but it's so difficult. I've made it so technically hard for myself to complete that I have to go lighter in order to make progress. And it allows me to have that bit of recovery without overdoing it, so that I can come back bigger and stronger next time when I have an actual heavy day that I want to improve on, So I have to remind myself, the main lifts I want to improve on are the snatch and the clean and jerk. I'm still training bench and squat for strength, sure, but I don't really care about maxing them out per se. I just want them to get bigger. And so, I don't really need to worry about picking up the heaviest weight possible unless it's a heavy snatch or clean and jerk day. So I got to 185, and the technique was good up until I got to 185, because I put that weight on more so out of semi-ego, but it's weight that I've been used to. I'm so used to being able to throw 185 like it's nothing that I didn't really think that it'd be that big of a deal to go to that weight. And not only was my pause snatch form the worst, and my snatch balance form, but I just could not get the drop snatch for the life of me. It was, quite frankly, humbly, too heavy. And that's okay. That's the experience I wanted today, because I was able to put in those, I did 3 attempts and still felt fine. I was able to put in that maximum effort, trying as hard as I can to get underneath it without forcing myself into a decreased level of fatigue in the long run. I don't like ending on a bad rep if I'm just doing more form and core technique type stuff, because I had a lot more energy than I would have actually had if I'd gone to a all or nothing set like I was doing every day on the old program. So I just put on 175, and it was the best set of the day. And that's what I wanted to see. That's the improvement that I wanted to be able to look at and be like, that is what it means to do this new style of training. That's the new sort of passion I want to put into it. And after that, felt great. Got on the bench. It was supposed to be a pause bench day on the typical schedule. So instead of just doing blatant, go as hard as I can, pause bench, like I'm trying to PR, I did a really slow tempo pause bench press. And again, I was able to push the exact same intensity that I typically would, if not harder, got a better pump out of it, got a better mind-muscle connection, better form technique out of it. And I just went lighter on the weight. And even though at the end I couldn't hit all the reps at the heaviest set I did, because I only got 4.5 reps out of 6 that I was aiming for, I still heavily succeeded, because the goal now is not just to hit that 6 rep and force myself out of my comfort zone to just make weight no matter what. It's to enjoy the lift in the moment and allow that bit of variety to grow in its own way in that present session, Before I get more into it, physically, after all those very nice lifts, because I was pretty damn proud by the end of it, I will give it an 8.3. Not because I'm not feeling insane, but it was lighter weight. It was more low key. It's going to take time for me to get as excited as I am for it than I am on the typical program, because I just quite frankly don't have the experience yet. That's how I tell everybody to start on any new program, or if you're a new lifter in general. You're supposed to get on these programs and do stuff that feels relatively easy or secure and comfortable, so that you can come back and crush it next time with twice the passion, and twice the effort and energy, because you have an idea of what you're capable of and you want to move past it and crush that weight, Anyway, mentally, I'll give it a solid, I'll give it an 8.5, right in the middle there. Again, it was a great day. It was a back and forth day, if I'm being honest with myself. I don't want to lie to you guys and just say like, oh, I had a good lift, so the day was good, because I was having a bit more of back and forth in my head before the gym, because it was one of those days where, because of the workout yesterday and because of the continuing consistency of my messed up fatigue levels, making the workouts feel less passionate, and just I was feeling less in love with what I was doing, I got to that little headspace where I'm just kind of sitting there and I'm like, what do I write? What program is supposed to come next? What am I supposed to do? And you can sit there for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours and not be able to write anything. I've sat and looked at my computer for several hours on end without being able to come up with anything substantial, because it just was a matter of I just had to go through every single possible iteration to fully understand what I wanted in that moment. And the biggest thing that I realized by the end of it was that I was so far so far attached to my current program and the current way of my lifting that I hadn't realized that obsession and that attachment was what was exactly driving me away from it. I had a conversation with my brother and some other people recently about it, just to try to get a better perspective and better headspace about it, to see where I was at and just understand it better in general, because that's the point of talking to people, getting a new perspective. It's therapy. That's why I do this. And I've had the realization, especially recently, since I've become more I'm self-sufficient, got a full-time job, full-time school, a lot more responsibilities, but more so my priorities are changing. The things that I was once passionate in just aren't hitting the same anymore. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. It just means that I've become a different person, and it's either I stay stagnant and obsessed, or I allow change to happen and embrace new passion. And by all means, it doesn't mean I'm getting less passionate about the gym. It's more so being able to rewrite your passions in a new way that ignites that original flame again, The old passions just become new and improved versions of themselves. I'm doing the same lifts, I'm doing the same style of training, but they're just different varieties. They're different purposes behind the lifts I'm doing right now. Because even though the weights weren't heavy on the snatch stuff, especially today, and the goal wasn't to lift a heavy weight, having that new goal of getting a better form and technique and better explosiveness, joint strength, all that stuff all together, that's what really allowed me to get myself to really drive it home and embrace that new idea of a better future. I always say it's not about the weight, but my program dictated otherwise. My program was solely based off of I have to go up this amount of weight this often at this percentage. And that kind of training always leads to a plateau. And of course, every training is going to get plateaued eventually, but it's the fact of whether or not I can stray away from that stagnant style of training that originally worked well but doesn't anymore, and go to a more free, loosely structured style of programming that allows me to be more open-minded about what I want to do. It doesn't have to just be about making that weight every single week. I can just have fun and work on something new, even though the lifts are technically the same, Because if it were normal me, I would have pause snatched 215 for sets, or 230 actually, like 230, 235, something nuts, which is great. That shows amazing potential and that progress that I used to be chasing so hard, but that's less of a priority now. And to be quite frank, that time away that I'll have to recover and focus on different kinds of goals with the same actual passion will allow me to actually recover better in the long run, so that I can lift those heavy weights when they're ready instead of forcing them to be ready on my time. It's kind of like with life. We do not work, life does not work with us. We work with life and whatever it wants to throw at us, because that's kind of just what fate is. That's what's having blind faith in yourself and your own efforts means. So similar to that, our body does not work with us. We got to work with our bodies. We got to adhere and accept and really show love and attention to the body that allows us to thrive in this specific way. Because if you push it too hard, it'll crumble on you and you'll be out forever. And that is not an option. I'm going to continue to grow and get to that point no matter what. So otherwise, give me a second. I got to order from McDonald's. Okay, sorry, I'm back. I had to get the fat stuff, me. It's rest day tomorrow, so I have to enjoy it while I can. And you got me messed up if you think I'm not getting a double quarter pounder and a frozen Coke. I do not care if there are random bacteria in my double quarter pounder. I'm gonna be fat for a day, damn it. Anyway, I don't know. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I always love the support and just getting to talk to you guys no matter what happens. But we're on a new track. We're going to see what happens. And either way, I'm having fun. It's less... It may have a little bit less energy than I expected it to. but it doesn't mean I can't have the same amount of fun and passion behind it, you know? And this is that first week. I got to give it time to grow and see what I'm actually capable of with these new types of training, because making the lifts more difficult and do more accessory type complexes and making the lifts just harder overall, that's going to be what really primes my body, and it allows me to grow in a way that I didn't realize in the first place. You know, there's always those little parts of your body that are lacking, but you don't really realize it until you have to do that movement you've never done before, or the type of training that you've never done before. But either way, I'm liking it. We're going to have fun with some new stuff, and I'm going to learn how to change with the new present me. Regardless of what happens, y'all let me know how y'all are doing. I love hearing what the lifts and the lives have been like. And tomorrow's rest day, so you'll see me day after tomorrow, and we're going to have some fun doing some heavy clean and jerks. And otherwise, the front squats and the clean pulls will be more type of accessory movements so that I can have a little bit less fatigue and have a little bit more fun with it than I was originally, you know? A little bit less stress, more passion, though, to be had. And we'll get there one way or another. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you day after tomorrow. Love you. Bye.